with it. And why is in the Hasidic community all you dairy as almost as eating crave? So let's take the shaila little by little. So the makor of the Yisur is a Mishnah in Avodah Zorah. The Sechus Avodah Zorah, Daf Lamed Hey Yomud Beis. The Mishnah states as follows: The Elu Dvorim Shelo Yidei Koichovim. These are the things that belong to that from Goyim, from pagans, Asurin, which are prohibited. Vein Isuron Isur Anor. Both are muter ve'anor. In other words, are prohibited to eat, but there is no Isur Anor, because the previous Mishnah discussed things which were prohibited to eat and prohibited to have anor.
How could you do that if
you could sell it. You
by
could
eating?
no, you could have anor. You could sell it. You could give it to a goy.
No,
you
but
could,
how can you not have anor?
what do you mean? How can you not
How
have
can you
anor?
not have anor without, and you're able to eat it?
You cannot eat it, but you are certain things you cannot allowed to eat, and you're not allowed to have anor. Other things you are not allowed to eat, but you can have anor. In other words, if you have Cholov akum, you could give it to your cleaning lady, and it's not also. You could give it a matona, you could give it to her for a payment. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to become a soicher in it because it's a different isur. But you are allowed to have anor. It's not isur anor. And what is that the case? The first case is Cholov shechol v'oivet koichovim. Vein Yisroel, milk that a goy milked, and the Jew did not see him. If the Jew sees him, right, the Jew does not need to do the etzem chalive, doesn't need to do the milking. He only has to see him doing it, because the whole chash is a chash that he was going to be me'arev, he's going to mix it, he's going to exchange it for cholov tmeir. But if you see it milking it, that problem is not applicable, right? If you see it milking it, the Mishnah has different cases. If there's nothing tome, there's no behemoth tmeir in that part, so then you don't even need to be inside. You could be even in the outside, and it's enough. So you don't need the chaliva should be done by a yid. You need only that it should be a mashgiach, a yid to check it. So the Gemara wants to know cholov lemay nechesh. What should be the chash? What should be the problem when milk of a belongs to a goy? Imishum ichlufe. If you are scared that he's going to change it for milk of a behemoth meyer, it's a very, very simple difference. No, 1 second, Benin. It's just my wife is busy with flowers. It's a very simple difference. Milk tor is clear, and milk from a behemoth meyer was greenish, so there's no problem. Bishum eruve. Nakom, if because he mixed it, right? If because you're scared that he's gonna mix it, so the coloring of the milk won't be able to tell you because it's mixed, so it looks clear enough that it's tor, and you'll be able to get away with the color. I have very simple solution. Nakom, take some of the milk and make it into cheese. Domar mar Cholov tor oimet. Milk, which comes from a behemoth teoiro oimet, you are able to make it into cheese. Tome, but if it comes from a behemoth meyo, ein oimet, you're not able to make it into a cheese. So it's a simple solution. So sagt the Gemara, ide kavoy lekvine. Okay, listen, if you need it for cheese, ein ochinami. That's a very simple solution. You make it into cheese, and very shalom Yisroel. But over here, you don't need it for cheese. We're scared that you need it to. People didn't drink milk in those days. You need to eat it, right? And you already put it into the food, and you won't be able to do this to make it into cheese. So take a little bit, just take a little bit and make a little bit of cheese out of it. No, this is a problem. Since in the milk which is stored, sometimes if you don't get the good piece of the milk, you get the clear part, meaning the non-fat part of the milk, and that also won't be able to make cheese. So you have no way of telling if it's kosher or if it's treif, right? So the fact that it didn't come into cheese is not going to tell you if it's tor. It might be tor, it might be treif, but it also might be tor. So Chazal didn't want you. That's not a good test. So therefore they asked it all milk. Meaning, what's the problem? Because you're going to take the good part, and that's going to become into cheese, and you're going to leave the the one that came from the Tome, that one wouldn't become cheese. And then some thought that also wouldn't become cheese. So it's not a foolproof thing, some things that you put already into a oichel. Again, because in those days they did not drink milk. Milk was not considered something that you drank. You either took milk for cheese or you ate it with food.
When was this?
Because in the days of the Romans, in the days of the
What do you
Tanoim.
mean? So they all had cows.
Yeah, but milk wasn't something that
They
they
produced
that
something
they
with it.
produced it, they would eat it. The concept of drinking milk came much later. They first of all because it wasn't pasteurized, so many people get sick from it, right? So with food, I guess the bacteria got killed easier. It's something that came later. Some held that they gave them leprosy, make them into Metzoraim, whatever. But you see from the Gemara that it wasn't so simple that people drank it. Fine. Then the Gemara says, people is saying, so here is Masha from this Gemara, Aga from the first lotion, that cheese is not a problem. Calls man that meaning. There's other problems with cheese. Cheese is a complete different.
Because if it's cheese, it
It-
has to be from kosher.
Yeah, that's don't misunderstand. But the milk that you're using to make cheese, that milk you could buy from a goy. You need ashgocha for the cheese from something else. But there's no Indian that the milk should come that the cheese should be produced from Cholov Yisroel milk. You need ashgocha that they shouldn't put things to make it coagulate. That is Stam. That's where you need the ashgocha. We'll see the shaynos in the Gemara. That's a different shmuz. That's a different shir. It's just that they come together. They react a lot. So from this lashon in the Gemara it seems that is mutter. Then the Gemara goes to make that cheese would be mutter. You don't need Cholov Yisroel to make cheese, and meaning you could buy a olam cheese with ashgocha meshas givun, and it's kosher v'yosher. You're not being over in any derabonons of Cholov Akum. Right?
So you're saying in the creating of the cheese?
The creating of cheese, you need an ashgocha. Not the kulei alma. That's why the thing, but that's a sheet that's one sheet in the Gemara that it seems that it stays la loche. The Chazonish says that if somebody Chaz v'sholem eats vinas akum, meaning cheese that was created without any ashgocha whatsoever, at best he's not an avarian. You can't call him an avarian. That's as much as meaning that Chazonish says he's not an avarian. Because there is such a sheet, but nobody has any shemets of Yeshomayim, he says, would ever eat that type of cheese.
1 second, didn't you just say before that? you
But
can-
cheese is a different
Oh,
shmuz.
Could you make cheese out of a tummy animal's milk?
No, you cannot.
You
But
said there's a certain part on there that does work.
no, there's no part in the tongue that does work. In the Torah, there's the part that works, the fat. But what I
So
said
anything
was
turned from the cheese, it has to be from a Torah animal.
Torah animal.
So you can eat any cheese then.
No, because
Because then there's other additives.
there's other additives to make into the cheese. There's keva. There is, so therefore you need ashgoche
Right.
in the making of the cheese. There is a sheet in the Gemara that says that the whole thing of cheese is only because of avodah zorah, because they use keva shel avodah zorah, and from that the mashmoris is that you would be allowed to eat any cheese. And there are ashgoches, which I won't mention, that are soymech on this. And all I'm telling you is the Chazonish says a person that eats such type of cheese cannot be called an avarian, but he has no shemets of Yeshomai.
Okay.
Okay? That's
We need the shot. We need names. If not, we're gonna stay stuck.
the cheese
Okay,
from
but
tablet.
going
No,
back-
you could say it
But-
from tablet cheese from tablet K tablet. No, it's just tablet.
Tablet over there, when it comes to the making of the cheese, though,
They don't have a
they don't have a stuff on it.
No.
So that's what you
Yeah.
were just talking about.
Yeah, they come once in a. Now that's not. There is certain cheeses that don't need ashgoche because it's not cheese. Cream cheese, that it does not need ashgoche because it has no additives whatsoever. Cream cheese is produced farmer cheese. Certain cheeses, soft cheeses, do not need a mother. You don't need coagulation. It's done out of the milk itself. That's the first taking of the cream. How they make the cheese. So that one, no ashgoche. Has a mashgiach there, except the Cholov Yisroel ones.
Must be 100% pure though. Can't have any.
So okay, so that's why the OK gives to Philadelphia cheese, right? And they come, they check, and but you don't need meshas gvine. You don't need meshas gvine. The OK, you need a responsible exer to make sure that that's what you're eating, right?
But milk, according to this Gemara, since there's a possibility that they might mix it with line or whatever, any other funky milk.
Yes.
You have to have.
And the testing will not be able to tell us on the. It's not 100% if you already put it into food, right? And although you're going to take off some milk, and that's going to become into cheese, but the one that's already in the food won't become cheese. It's told that you didn't do the test on, so they were not mad. Inami, then the Gemara goes around. That's why you're machmir in cheese because of this. Not like we say, even if you need it for cheese, you also need a Cholov Yisroel for cheese. Sometimes when you make the cheese, you'll have enough Cholov Tmeya that's going to be hidden into the holes of the cheese or the holes of the pat, right? That's not going to become cheese. And you're not going to realize, well, it's enough that it's min bemino is loy bottle, and it's enough that you're going to eat it. So even for cheese, you need Cholov Yisroel, because the Cholov Tmeya will stay between the holes of the cheese. Enough Cholov Tmeya that it's going to be a problem. Toises, so this seems to be saying that you need Ashkocha for cheese. So Toises, no. Toises, Pius Lika Cholov in Obekochom Nasos Gwino. Avoleel, Gabi Lika Gwino, Shelo Obekochom, Nekole Mechas Achom Tome, Kimon Shoise Oisel et Zorcho. If you want to buy milk to produce cheese, then you need milk that's Cholov Yisroel. So, according to the second lotion of the Gemara. But if you're just going to eat cheese that you made sure the guy made it kosher, and he did it at tzorch, and you made sure that the coagulation was kosher, and now you want to eat it, that's no problem, because the guy will not exchange Cholov Tmeya, which is it's difficult to make cheese with Cholov Ksheir, both things together. It's too difficult for him to do it. If he's doing it at tzorch, he only wants the best cheese. So there's no problem. So even according to the second lotion of the Gemara, which seems to be telling you that you need Cholov Yisroel to make cheese, Zok says no. That's not the maskon of the Gemara. According to Rabbi Cymet Ashkenazim, the Valatoises, we pass him that you do not need Cholov Yisroel to make cheese. You could buy Cholov Akum, and if it becomes cheese, it's kosher but yosher to eat it. You just need to make sure that the additives that are put into it are no problem, and therefore you could use Cholov Akum to make cream cheese because it has no additive. And that's why, if you'll ask me, the Rebbe Shlit had gesagt to the Arav Levi from the OK not to give Ashkocha on Cholov Stam. Only OK, basically, you'll only see DE. You're not, which we're going to touch up on that. But you'll never see OKD, except in Philadelphia cheese. That's the answer. Because you do not need, I'm sorry, because you do not need Cholov Yisroel, because the guy will only take Cholov, which will come into cheese easily, and that's why the OK gives the Ashkocha of Philadelphia cream cheese.
Hershey's chocolate milk is also okay.
That's it's not okay. Hershey's OU.
I saw it in my class.
Okay.
OKD.
So you.
Hershey's OU.
Well, Hershey, the whole Hershey plant is OU.
I saw it's okay.
Nowadays, most of commercial stuff, or if it's not a milk product, they use powder. Means it's not a cheese or milk.
Yeah, that's also included in the ether of Venus. So in theory, there's no union to be machmir on chocolate, right? According to Tosis, there's no union to be machmir on butter. Verstetig, there's no union on chocolate, on most things, because very few things are straight milk. Everything is powder milk. So according to the Ramon, according to Tosis and the Ramon that Pascal have Tosis, there is no union to be machmir on chocolate.
So what's the whole thing called Stam?
Because there's some machlokes in the Shoynes. The Rambam Paschals like but the shir is not about cheese. That's a different shir. Okay, so we have to keep onto what we came for. We came over here. So the Rambam just Paschals this Gemara straight. Cholov Akum is osur. Then he brings the other Mishnah. If the Beshas Chaliva he saw was Oymed Chutz, where the guy could see him, and he knows that Cholov Tmeya is also to Yisroel, and he's scared that Yisroel is going to see him, it's muter. If the guy doesn't know and doesn't see the Yisroel, then it's also, and that's the poshet psak. Therefore, you need a mashkiach to be there b'shas chalive. It has nothing to do with chalive, that the ayid has to do chalive, no such inyan. The guy could do the chalive, you just need an ashgoche, according to the Rambam, you need an ashgoche that the milk is from a kosher from a behemoth tehoira, and then you're allowed to. If you do not see it, then it's also. What happens if he came in middle? Big shyness. But according to that, there was no eter whatsoever ever to eat Cholov Stam in form of milk. In form of cheese there is, in form of milk there is no eter. So the problem, we think, it came when we came to America, people were drinking milk. No, the problem started before. The problem, people needed milk even before. When people started drinking milk, even though they didn't know about pasteurization, Pasteur came much later in the early 1900s, late 1800s, they started boiling it anyways. They were not so stupid like we think. They started drinking milk. So people needed milk, so a supplement for babies, different things that people started needing milk. The first one to be makel is the prichodosh, but really the kule comes even before, comes from the Ratvas, meaning from the early Achronim in the 1500s in Mitzrayim. We don't have the time to go into the whole arichas of the Remo, but the Remo gets busy into when does the yid need to be there, when does the yid get there, if there is a behemoth meyo in the herd of the animals or not. He gets all busy into little details. Very good. Comes to Prichodosh and says, what's he getting busy with details? The Maise, now we do not have behemoths that are nimtza behemoth tmeyos going to not take any milk from behemoth tmeyos. Any farmer that farms milk has no behemoth tmeyos by him. So what's going on with the Remo? Remo left out a tremendous detail, and that the detail is as follows: that he brings a raya. I'm going to skip the raya. V'shaminon meocho. We hear from here. The lo osru cholov goy elo kesheyesh chash mitaruvo is cholov tomeh. That only when there's a chash from mixing of cholov tomeh. The ober that got over tomeh. If there's no over tomeh be'etro in the herd of the animal, etiro. Av she'einoi roye klala chalive. They were matir even if he doesn't see the milking whatsoever. Lo yoimed velo yoishev. He's not there. He's not sitting. He's not standing. The av kesheyesh dover tomeh be'etro etiro av she'einoi rohu choilev kol sheyochol liroisos. Even when they said over tomeh in the herd of the goy, they were matir if he's able to see him because he's scared. B'moyadin cholov kegvine shel goyim. This is the secret point. Cholov is not like gvine. Gvine shel goyim. Even if they would start being maimit gvines with dvorim ksherim that you're allowed to be maimit, we cannot be matir such a thing because it's called dover sheveminion. When Chazal asks dover sheveminion, it's called when Chazal make a yisur b'minyan, then you need you need chachomim b'minyan. You need more than the original besin that did the yisur, and they need to be godel b'chochmosom. There is a different structure when Chazal tell you this is a dover sheveminion. And different chumras. So therefore, gvine, we hold, is never going to be mutters of the prichodosh. And even if they would be mati the tam, and all hard cheese would be able to be created in a kosher oifen, and all going do it that way, we still wouldn't be matir. Because there were many different reasons why they asked it, so we cannot say botla tam, botla takon. But in something which is only achshas from the goy taking advantage and making a good business deal on the Jew, not because it's dover sheveminion that they made that this is isur. That's a dover sheveminion. When they say those is osur, vine they made it into chatichas isur. They made it into trade. Cholov is only achshash. If it's only achshash, we already have a toises in Onoiv Eima Mirim in the second paragraph of our Dezore that tells us that if the guy is going to lose money by switching something, he's not going to do it. And his mutter, therefore, so cases you're allowed to buy juices from the guy because which guy is going to mix it for wine? Wine is more expensive. And if he puts in wine, so sometimes the wine is going to get spoiled. So cases, the only time you need ashgoch on juices is if wine is cheaper than the juice. So then you need ashgoch on juices. But if the wine is more expensive, there's no chash. Zog the prichodosh, it would be dover sheveminion that cases wouldn't say that. Elomai zok the prichodosh is muter gomer and it's not like vine. And you cannot, and since it's botlo at botlo asive, there's no more behemoth tmeyes around. No goy ever milks behemoth tmeyes. They don't sell them. Muter gomer to drink cholov shalakum that you did not see him milking it. And this was a psak in the 1700s in Amsterdam, where the Prichodesh was Rav for the Kala Svardim, and he was matir without any problems. The rabbinical world tumbled on him, and he didn't care. He was attactive. He held his rights were strong, and not only he was matir zokter, the Radvaz already in Egypt, right, already answered that there's no sibit to be makbid on Cholov. Cholov, there's no such thing as Cholov akum is manenu. Since Cholov is muter vezeu. And in Ochshash. So he was the first Mekel. From Rabbi Cymet Svardim, he was the first Mekel. This Eter had the blessing of the Chazon Ish, and the Chazon Ish would tell people whenever they lived in places where they cannot get Cholov Yisroel, that it's not a problem, they could drink Cholov from a goy. Not al Moshe's Eter. Way before, after Prichodesh's Eter. And so they had the Eter, Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg, the Oigdoilim before them were masking to this Eter. That's the Prichodesh's Eter. Now, when we came to America, Moshe gekommen, and he says as follows: even without the Prichodesh's Eter, even if there would be Cholov Tmeyo, Abeimois Tmeyo is Nimtzo Be'edro, he shall go. Still, in the United States, and when you see the Tshuva, it's not only Eter in the United States, it's Eter all over, really. In the United States, and wherever there's some shape, form of government, is muter gomur to buy Cholov akum. There's no Cholov akum, so there was coined frame Cholov Stam. Just like we have Stam Yeinom, this Yain Nesech, which is also Vanoah, and then Stam Yeinom, which is muter Vanoah. So it was coined frame Cholov Stam. That's not a term that you're going to find anywhere in any rabbinic writings before Rav Moshe. It was a way to make it into. You can't call something Cholov Akum and say it's mutter. So it says Nish kein Cholov Akum, so call it Cholov Stam.
There's a new phenomenon.
A new term and no idea. What's Rav Moshe's koyach Eter? So he's saying he's going by the Prichodesh in one. What?
People say it was only because of Tag.
Rav Moshe is very clear. Rav Moshe, we'll go through this too.
Was it? Even if you have
The Prichodesh is like a Tchila.
No, Moshe.
But the Prichodesh is like Atchila. One second. So you have the Prichodesh that he holds is like Atchila. But even Rav Moshe, we're going to go back why Rav Moshe was Megamgem, and he said it's not really Megamgem. We're going to, and really even according to the Prichodesh, there's still an Indian of Cholov Yisroel. We'll discuss it soon. Zog Rav Moshe, in the United States, the farms have to pay a knas to the Medina if they falsify anything. So even if you tell me in the 50s, it was not so well organized, the food industry and the FDA wasn't so, and you could still were able to bribe, and there was corruption. So you know how much it would take? You don't only have to bribe the inspector. You have to bribe every single worker to maintain the secret. Your whole business could come tumbling down. So on the Prichodesh, tell me, because on Ochshash, even if I would have Achshash, this is toises to the third power. Which normal company is going to take the risk to have to bribe everything? This makes the price of Cholov Tmeyo, Behemoth Tmeyo, skyrocket threefold. So therefore, even if there would be Behemoth Tmeyos running around and such a production would exist, so Rav Moshe is muter gomer. And there's no need to be machmir except for Aval Nefesh Yachmir Alatzmo. We both mean to Aval Nefesh Yachmir Alatzmo because it is a big problem when later rabbinical authorities come to be matir ha'isur derabbanan. And that has always been a tremendous mevuche since the Rishonim. Do you say botlo sive, botlo takone, on takonas chazal? The Rambam it's of that school that says botlo sive, botlo takone, and he's matir golu, he's matir other things that other Rishonim were not matir. There is a controversial goyen in Biur that says on the Rambam, kankil keloso a philosophia o aruro, right? To say that the goyen said on the Rambam, there's people that say the goyen would have not written. I'm not a chosid of the things that I think the goyen did write it. The goyen was very, very strong about we don't even know the tip of the mountain why Chazal asked something. So whatever they tell us in Torah and English that why Chazal asked something, it's only a few of the reasons. But it's timing that Chazal had whenever they came to ask something. So therefore you could never say what the time about the Takon. The Ma'itzias has a whole chivur on when yeah, when not, and who says and who not. I mean, in last week's shmuz about Rabbi Tam, it's also. Now we know the science tells us how Shkia works, so maybe Rabbi Tam should be out of business. We know there's not two windows. And still, Rav Moshe Rabban were very scared to say, no, and we're talking about Rishon, we're not talking about Chazal. We cannot decide Benorim Agdoilim, we're not going to change and say the halacha is like the Geoinim only because of science. Not that the science cannot tell us something, but this has been a big mevuch. So that is the reason why Rav Moshe says, I'll never yachmi alatzmo. Because soiv kol soiv, if there's a takon of Chazal that the Rambam brings Stam, we don't touch it. So there is such a musik as Cholov. So the question was, so why did Hasidim hold that when they came to America, the Ungarische Hasidim were more machmir, but even the Lubavitchers and the Polish Hasidim were more machmir, were not soimach on the Aterim.
Well, why does he himself say he said it should be machmer or someone who's a Baal?
The Bechodosh, that's not.
Who said that line?
Rav Moshe, I'll never yachmir alatzmo. Okay, Rav David, because I just explained, because it's a takon of Chazal. It's not an Indian of Chassid, it's an Indian of Bal Nefesh. He didn't say a Chosid
What
yachmir
does that mean,
alatzmo.
Baal Nefesh?
Bal Nefesh means a person that's medagdik in halacha.
Who is
Tremendously.
it? We're all medacting Allah.
Yeah, we're all medagdik in halacha.
we
You're called a
try.
medagdik in halacha because at any circumstances you're not going to be over at takon Chazal. I should be a medagdik in halacha. I should be counted in that.
We try to be medacting Allah.
But Ramosha says the point of Ramosha, this is not a game. It's not something that you're going to play with. If you're holding by, listen, if you're holding by it, yachmir alatzmo. And it's not a Hasidus. A Hasidus is, what's the title of a Chosid lifnei meshuras adin? You're not going lifnei meshuras adin.
So the din is...
There is a din. They sniff him le'edet.
So wie der Mishabir.
Bal Nefesh Yachmir Alatzmo is a person that knows himself to be a person that's medagdik in halacha v'chol zman v'oeis, and he will not. He has no other issues or self problems that he's still fighting with, and he will.
So
What?
you know that you're not that, might as well.
You might as well. Depends where you're brought up. We're going to go into the things. It's in Yonin of Nedorim. So if we could, let's advance a little
Okay,
bit.
let's advance.
You want what? It's that's something else. Chodesh El the word is paspalter, which is mutter laloche. Kukayin Shulchan Aruch, paspalter is mutter laloche. You want to be machmir, that's amidas chasidus. And why? Because Chodesh El the melech is there. That's another Indian. This is not. This is much more bal nefesh yachmir. Alatzmo means a bal nefesh is a person that medagdik in halacha calls man. He should be machmir alatzmo. That's what Rabbi Moshe said. Rav David Feinstein eats Cholov Stam. He has Cholov Stam in his fridge. Right? August Einiklach eat Cholov Stam.
Did he eat it?
Yeah, he ate Cholov Stam. I don't know if now, but he ate Kol Hazman Cholov Stam.
Who did you say?
Rav David Feinstein.
David.
Oh.
He ate
Ramosha,
Cholov Stam.
Ramosha.
Rav Moshe did not eat Cholov Stam. He did not. Rav Moshe was makpid on Cholov Yisroel. Himself, not his family. Not Rav David, I don't know about Rav Reuven. My shver led by Rav Moshe, he eats Cholov Stam.
So what does Rav David have to say about a Baal Nefesh?
Obviously, his
What's
point.
his take on that?
The point is somebody that knows where he's holding. He is making the point, Rav David. Or Gufo, he's making the point. That those state, that
He's
it's
not a Baal Nefesh, and who's the Baal
those
Nefesh?
state, it's not a game. When somebody is being machmir on this is not. And this is what I'm going to show my frumkeit. That's not what it is. It's serious business, and that's said by people that didn't have the minhag. Hasidim, people that were brought up with the minhag, they have a bigger problem. So you got excited. We're going to have Hershey soon. The problem is that it became it's definitely another. Because if you're noyeg a noget toive, even something which not halacha, and you're noyeg at kol hazman, you can just
What happens
you
if
can't
did
just
that
be mad at
because
it.
You grew up in a house that's what they did, but not what,
So
that's
that's-
you.
Yeah, if that's where you brought up, so you were noyeg a noget toive for more than 3 years. That's it. You can't just be matter. You have to go into a vesting and you have to be matter nether. You need to find a
If
Pesach.
your parents
So it's not about the OUD. It's not about the Cholov Stam.
We're getting on the thing. If you I don't have it. Then it might even become a deraisa because now you're dealing with Nedorim.
We started eating Hershey's when you were 2, so you're safe.
So then you're dealing with Nedorim. The same thing. Once a person started and he had a noget toiver, so then you're dealing with Nedorim. So then it could become a deraisa. It could become a deraisa.
So what's the thought that people say that they don't need Cholov Stam because why?
So we have two stories. Either because they hold like the Rambam, and they don't accept the etter of the Pricholos and the etter of Moshe.
So they don't know what they don't know what I'm saying. They don't know that I'm
The Satmar Rebbe knew the Rambam, and the kind of thing.
It's
The Loucher Rebbe knew the
What I'm trying to
Rambam.
say is the regular Hamayim.
They have a problem with
no
the
idea what Cholov Stam is.
They have a problem. They have a problem with it.
You know.
They have a problem with
People don't know
Nedorim.
what it is.
They have a problem with a nether. It's not a
You
game.
know what I'm saying is
But
people
that's their only
grow up
problem.
with this thing of we
That's
don't need
their only
Cholov Stam. They
It's
don't
a
know
rise.
Cholov Stam means. No.
okay, as big as the problem is, that's a problem. They can't
Someone
say
now
that.
knows what
Ich
these
es
things are.
nicht, weil they don't even know. They
This
don't
is
even
something
know
that you don't
who,
do.
what, when,
It's
when.
like everything.
Is this? It doesn't
Not
say.
about people who do know.
Torah
People don't.
Tzivah, it says when your kid becomes 3 years old, you teach him to speak in Lashon Kodesh and Melando. Torah Tzivah Lonu, something Rambam in Lav Kovru. If not, it's like you're burying him. So this is not Torah Tzivah Lonu Moshe Kilas
It is
Yaakov.
another-
But eventually, you should try to find out why you're not doing
It's
it.
Okay, that's
considered
a
a
different
nether. Let's say
topic.
this is a totally different topic, but it's considered a nether, something that, let's say, he grew up that way.
Yeah, that's the koyach of a minute. That's the koyach of a minute. That being said, if he goes to a best of Shloisha and he says I'm traveling to Hong Kong and there's nothing to be had there and I need it,
Cholov Stam in China,
so that-
there's no had to Cholov Stam in China anyways.
you have the precholos.
Oh, okay, fine, yeah.
You have the
And
precholos,
also
and you also have Ramosha because companies are
China
getting
has
to
a
bribe
government.
everybody.
No, for
China
milk-
has restrictions.
For milk, they'll serve you camel's milk. You don't know what's in there.
No, but first of all, it's very hard to come by these items, even in China.
So that's the
In
precholos.
China, they'll drink anything.
But that's the
You gotta
precholos.
get it first.
So if it's
They're
benimtze.
not like around the corner. There's not in every store.
No, he's making a good point. If in China it's benimtze, they take it from a rat.
No, but isn't there a government there also regulations?
Oh,
Yeah, but that's part of the regulations.
Yeah.
The right.
China's.
I don't know.
Yeah, they cook dogs.
Don't do it, my friend. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So it could be in China you don't have another precholos and another Ramosha. In Mexico where it's a corrupted government, but you still have the precholos and you still have Ramosha because the guy with the milk factory would have to bribe so many workers. What's his kedai? So that you still have. If China is
Maybe it's
completely
kedai
broken,
because
In
then
America, everything's
business.
big brands and
Tastes
things like that.
better.
Over there, it's not.
Wieso billig ist?
So
The
good
corner
news.
store
Hey,
has
one
this
second,
guy.
before
No,
you-
better is not a reason. Better is not a reason. Bigger
Before
is
we
more
get
expensive.
sidetracked, 'cause
That's not the thesis. Nothing says about
In
better.
America, you have big companies. Everything's big companies, things. Over there, his guy gets it from his guy, and there's no labels, there's nothing.
Right? So it could be a problem. Now, so just to get to I'll take
address
questions.
OUD and
I'm addressing it in a second. I mean, we're trying to get there. So the part of the question is, if you hold like the Rambam no eterim, Cholov akum asers, and you need to cash, right? And you can, you have the et of Stam kelim of the yoimim, but you need to cash. So now that being said, so let's get into the practicality of things. In a OU food service, which is what I do, if the restaurant signs up as a Cholov Yisroel restaurant, he cannot bring a shemes of Cholov Stam, not cheese, not butter. He needs to kasher. If there's a problem, they look at it as
That's treif.
treif.
Right.
You're saying you're Cholov Yisroel, you will be Cholov Yisroel to the utmost thing of the letter. And that's what most honest ashgoches do. Factories, the OU has a policy not to put DE. Some things are DE, although
What does that mean, D?
DE is dairy equipment. So now,
What does their equipment mean?
it means that it's a ben yoim of
It means
Cholov.
that the equipment was used for a Cholov
Of Stam.
Stam.
Yeah.
Not Akum. It was Stam.
Yes, I Yaakov, you
Right,
can't eat it.
sure, right.
So now, a person that's makbid on Cholov
Okay, and they
Yisroel,
washed it out?
DE, you don't wash it out.
It could be a touch the Cholov Stam.
It's bottle beroiv. If you are makbid in Cholov Yisrael and you are makbid bechol, you never soymech on any eterim, you should not eat DE. I mean, the OU doesn't have DE, the OU only has OUD. That's the policy. So even, for example, Oreos,
Now what is OUD?
dairy or dairy
Generally,
equipment.
it's dairy
Generally, it's dairy, but it could be dairy
But it
equipment.
could be dairy equipment, they don't differentiate.
That not to confuse people and not to give people that are Magban and Cholov Yisroel a way how to be matchstick to eat things.
Right.
They took off the E. Right? They took off the E.
So OUD means Cholov Stam?
Usually.
Usually
Except
sometimes it could be
except
just
if
the
you
goodness.
know, I need to know certain things where I'm going to certain places that are not strictly whatever. I need to know that certain things.
Because this is dairy.
This is I know that it's dairy
D-
equipment.
Usually D means dairy
Like
equipment.
Oreo cookies.
Usually D means dairy. Sometimes in the OU is dairy equipment. The OK, which would lose 75% of the business if they didn't have the DE, right? They have DE because the Rebbe told Rav Don Levi, the father, that what he shouldn't give on straight Cholov Stam, but he could give on DE or on Philadelphia cream cheese. So therefore they have this DE, DE because now
So they're considering DE a step lower than Cholov Stam.
DE they're saying
A step better. I meant.
a step better. There's
Yeah.
nothing later.
Right.
Go and decide for
But
yourself.
there's still other issues because you can't have it with.
Right now,
You
all
can
the,
have it
all the
with
Hershey's
things.
bars that say OUD, that means Cholov Stam,
Those are Cholov Stam. Again,
not equipment.
not equipment, but again, they're made out of
Powder, I think.
a powder.
I just
So
wanted
that's
to factor,
that's so that
Powder.
if you're not macpil on cheese, right, you're allowed to have them. You're allowed to have it. If you're not macpil on cheese, it's not a problem because powder milk is just like cheese, and you would be allowed to have it. The Hasidim that are macpil on
So
Cholov
it's
Yisroel should not eat
So it's
the
not regular Cholov Stam either. So
What?
there's a couple of levels here. There's Cholov Stam, then there's powder Cholov,
Yeah.
and there's DE.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Couple
breakups.
levels there.
Before that, there's butter.
Hasidim should not, and it's butter that Remo says whatsoever, no union to be macro
Who
whatsoever.
makes milk out of butter? I meant these.
Brookstones, butter, whatever butter.
I
is
mean
used.
butter itself.
Butter is totally no union to be macro. If you have a shkocha that is butter and it's not fat, so then that's enough. You need a shkocha, not that you can eat butter without a shkocha. You need a shkocha that is butter, that is not fat, that is not animal fat. But that's it. Once it's butter, you don't need to get from the Hasidim people that are makbid or briskers or people that never ate. Now in the yeshiva world, a lot of people in the yeshiva world do not eat Cholov Stam with no eterim, should not eat the they should kasher, and all the chumras are applied.
What about the kasha?
What?
Because they have a
To
chimera.
them it's trade.
Not trade.
It's not again. It's not.
That's
It's,
straight,
it's
but
not.
you know.
It's not a chumra. To them, it is. They did not accept the et. The Sadmer Rebbe did not accept this eterim. Not the Prichodos and not the Igros Moshe. He didn't accept them. He didn't accept them. He held. He said, "Dover shows." Treif. It's treif.
There's tribe and not tribe.
No, there is because if you don't accept the Prichodos,
You don't accept.
you're not accepting the Prichodos as
What's
a
that?
eterim.
One
God
second.
say.
Against.
Aber das war nicht da. Du kannst mich auch schon sagen,
What?
das Mann ist anders.
What is the reasons not to accept?
What
What you're gonna say?
The
The FDA doesn't
mashmois,
cover it?
there is no. He's asking good. There is many mashmois in the Remo that he disagreed with the Prichodos, and the Prichodos only based himself in the Remo. There is what to refute the Prichodos, and there is how to refute Ramosh.
How do you refute it?
First of all, if you hold that the botla asive loy botla takone, we don't care. Make it
But why would
make
it?
it make
What
the
about the
option.
reasoning?
The reasoning is that Tosis told me something about juices. The Mishnah never asked juices, but the Mishnah did ask Cholov. That's why I told you this goes into that union. If
Why
you,
doesn't OU give on juice hechsher on some juice?
the juice was just for an example. There's never a Mishnah that Chazal said goyish juice is osur. There is a Mishnah that says goyish Cholov is osur. Then you're tempering with Chazal. We're not a conservative movement. We can just say, oh, there has to be reasons. You have to find in the Rishonim. You have to find in the Gemaras. The Prichodos is a rizik echidish. It's not azoyidos. You want to know what's the other? There's a Prichodos, and the Prichodos was no baby, and he brings Biariches. There's two Prichodos. There's the little one on Shulchan Aruch, and there he doesn't say anything. In the big one, that's where he goes a page and a half. Ramosha has 4 shilas on this, over and over with different ways to how he was mated. So it's not something that you could just take as an alaphet that is mutter because you have a Mishnah that says Cholov min ha'akum is also.
What's it? Why? There's so many things you can say that. Oh, a guy picked fruits from a tree.
But
Maybe mixed
Rabbi
something
Cymet
with it.
Zichrono Livrocha did not say it. And on those things you have choices as for it, that whenever you're not chayish because wine is more expensive, then you do not need hashgacha. Chazal are koiveya, like I told you. When a person is already,
a guy, then why not be chayish him in anything in the life?
because Chazal did not. That's what you're not hearing.
You're not-
Chazal
you're
are
not
a koyach.
Chosher guy, what Chazal
Why?
said.
Well,
Chazal said
why?
no.
Because Chazal have the koyach.
Why
No,
did
you don't have the
Chazal-
koyach to start.
Why did Chazal decide that Cholov is a
So one of the reasons is lachlufe, and I told you a goyin that could have 120 more reasons that I didn't want to tell you. And if you look at that way, you cannot be
Okay,
matir.
so you're saying that there's reasons that weren't spoken.
A person could go like I told you last week, you could go to Gehenna mit the Rabbanon ganz fine. They have a koyach. Best in Sanhedrin has a koyach. Doesn't mean every rabbinical authority has a koyach. Rabbis now cannot create a yisur. A cherem, Roy, Rabbi Gershon. It's only a cherem. And the same way that Rabbonim now cannot create an yisur because no Elov Tishmon really now is Manazeh, although it might be a shaylev, if not. But Chazal, Sanhedrin, is lo yisasu yominu smoil, the Elov Tishmon, afil al yamin shu smol, vasmon shu yamin. So that's not a game. So this is a very, very edele Sache, when we talk of Yiddish. It's a very delicate thing, because if you're tampering with Chazal, you'll end up like the conservative movement in the 1950s, and they'll eventually nishkach Torah Yisroel.
If it's so serious, then how does Moshe come and give?
Again, Ramosha was Yosef Shiva Nekim before he was martyred. On such a simple tshuva, there's 4 tshuvas like that. It's a page and a half of prichodos to be martyred, such a thing. So you ask me, it's not Stam an Indian. That's why I'm trying to give you over. Since Chazal asked it, it's not Stam a Chumre. And Be'idach Israel Moshe wanted to show that it's not Stam a game by telling him, Ravid, if you're not holding by it, don't burn yourself by taking this Chumre and showing me this time from, because it's serious business. So people that are brought up with it should 100% keep it. Except ladies that get married at Tasnedorim. And people that not should not think it's a game and should choose this something to show, ich will spielen mit them. Because it's not, it's a dober chomer. If you need to be, you ask a Rav, if it's a teim, these things, this prichodesh, Moshe, Afghan, you go all abroad.
How about yogurt?
Yogurt is the
Chobani
same.
yogurt.
So that they cultures that they put would make me a problem.